Hi everyone, it's Andrew here again, Foot and Ankle Physio. In this video, we're going to run through a little strengthening exercise routine. It'll take you about 5 minutes and it really will cover off on any sort of issues for bunions, bunionettes, general foot strengthening, so it's applicable to most of you. Let's get into it. We're calling this one a sauna session because we're in a sauna. This is my sauna I built in the backyard and it's a cold morning here in Melbourne, so I thought why not have a bit of fun and let's do this exercise session in the sauna. Let's get into it. The first thing you're going to need is a ball. If you don't have one of these massage balls, then you can use a tennis ball. It's pretty good. Place the ball down on the ground, and what we're going to do is roll our foot backwards and forwards along that ball. Now we want to spend a few minutes exploring everywhere underneath the foot. Notice that I avoid the hard part of my heel and also around the toes there. I want to roll on the inside of my arch, right up the middle, and also really importantly, especially for a foot like mine, a really high arch foot, on the outside line of the arch, so really underneath here. Reason being is there's an important bone under there called the cuboid bone. It's a really big bone. It sits right in the middle of your arch, and it's a key bone that's responsible for the outside function of your foot. So you might find that's quite sore, and that's normal, and that's an indicator that you want to release that and make that move a little bit better. So not only am I going forwards and backwards, I'm also going to go sideways as well, especially through the forefoot. And I'm doing that to really ensure that I maintain my transverse arch. So that's the arch that goes across the foot like so, side to side. And notice that I'm trying to keep my toes as relaxed as possible. We don't want them up tense like that and everything contract. We want them relaxed. In the clinic, we talk to patients and say, make them like wet spaghetti and relax the toes over there. So a couple of minutes on the foot. There's so many good reasons for this. Another one is balance. We know that research tells us if we massage under the plantar aspect of our foot, it immediately improves our static balance. So you'll notice your balance improves straight after doing this one. Okay, exercise number 2. We're going to wake up our arch muscles. The way we do that, this is going to be quite tricky, and I'll see how I go today. Some days I'm better than others. I want you to press toes 2, 3, 4, 5 down, and then lift up your big toe if you can. Then we're going to reverse that and press the big toe down and lift the little toes up. This is quite challenging, and I've got lots of old injuries from my years as a ski racer. Lots of broken toes and jamming my feet into really tight ski boots. So I've got a tendency for my toes to claw, and I've been working on that ever since. So alternating the toes as best you can. One important point to note is ideally we don't want to compensate through the arch. So by rolling out, it makes it a bit easier, and then rolling in, we really don't want to have to do that. We really want to isolate those short muscles in your feet, the intrinsic muscles. Okay, so that is tricky and that requires a bit of concentration. Good, so I'll get you to do 20 of each of these. And if you can't do it immediately, don't worry, just keep practicing. You will get it with time. Whilst we are here down at the toes, we're going to use a stretch band. This is the one we use, not too heavy. We want it to be just moderate resistance. Loop it around your big toe. Okay, like so. You can adjust how much resistance you have here, and then you are going to press down into that band and hold down for 3 seconds, and then release and allow the toe to come back up. Ideally, this is just the big toe. I'm struggling a little bit this morning with my little toes wanting to work as well, and that's okay. Just the big toe. Our target here is 15 repeats of 3-second holds. Now for some of you that might have a bunion forming and the toe is deviating across like so, this is a really important point. Modify the vector or where the band is pulling, and I'll get you to pull if you're in that situation, pull it across here and still press down, because now you'll notice that the toe's being pulled across a bit more and the gap here is bigger. So if you do have a bunion happening on your foot, then really importantly, ensure that the toe stays straight and pressing down like so by varying the angle of the band. Okay, so 15 repetitions of those. Next, what we're going to do is work our ankle muscles. We're still going to use the band, and we can anchor it around the other foot, which is what I'm going to do there, around here. Okay, this is now working the ankle everters, the muscles down here on the side. So creating an anchor from the other foot and pressing out, letting the foot come all the way back in and out again. And what I'd love you to do is vary the position of your ankle. If we work it up there, you can see different tendons and muscles working much higher up. And then when we point the ankle down, we're working a different set of muscles. So much more peroneus longus, or fibularis longus, it's sometimes called, on the outside here. If that is too easy for you, increase the resistance by pushing your feet further apart. And this is fantastic for ankle sprains, making sure that your muscles are fully rehabilitated after any sort of rolling or inversion injury. And we want quite high repetitions here. So 20 to 30 repetitions is what I'll recommend. Great, so I'm already starting to get a little tired down the outside muscles here. Okay, now we're going to do the next exercise, which is the ankle inverters, or the muscles that turn your foot in. They're the same muscles that control pronation. These are really important and often neglected. You can anchor the band with the other foot, and this is the easiest way, is to cross your leg over like so. Place the band on the top foot. Of course, you need your hip to be able to cope with this. So if your hip is tight, I'll show you an alternative in just a second. Now what I'm doing here is lifting the foot as high up as I can and lowering it back down. Lifting it up as high as I can and lowering it back down. You can see that that's quite hard, and it might be hard for you as well. Do as many repetitions as you possibly can. Once again, vary the position of the ankle. If we have the ankle pointed like so, we bias the tibialis posterior, really important and perhaps the most important arch muscle we have. If you pull your ankle up into a more what we call plantigrade or 90-degree position, we're then starting to bring in the tibialis anterior, also an important muscle. Whilst I'm doing this, I'll just explain, sometimes with ankle sprains, we think that the muscles on the outside are the only ones that are weak. We know from the research that's not the case. Often the inside muscles become chronically weakened. And this is one of the key findings in the chronic ankle instability subgroup. So if you are finding that you're rolling your ankles, it might actually be this muscle in here is not strong enough. We know there's a normal ratio between the ankle inverters and the ankle everters, so that the turning in muscles here that we're working at the moment and the turning out muscles on the outside. Guess which one's stronger? Most people think the outside is when I ask them in the clinic, but actually the muscles on the inside should be 20 to 40% stronger based on the normative data we have from young, healthy individuals. So really important that you can strengthen up in here. Now I mentioned earlier, if your hip is not going to let you get here, and that might be a lot of you, that's okay. We need an anchor. We need to anchor this somewhere so we can pull across. So what I can do here, it's probably the easiest one, is using this one. If it's anchored, I'll use my other foot here. We can use this as our anchor. Okay, and we can turn the foot in and out like so, in that position there. All right, using an anchor. Great, so there's a couple of different alternatives. Next, I'm going to put on my toe spacers, and bear with me while I do that. If you don't have toe spacers, then you can still do these exercises. Because my arches are quite high and I have a tendency for my toes to claw a little bit, and after all those years in those ski boots that really squash my feet. I use these whenever I can, and they are a bit tricky to get on, as you can see, but once they're on, they help stop my feet from clawing. Okay, we're going to do seated calf raises with the toe spacers on. Okay, so we're sitting down, I should say, and we want the knee directly over the ankle, over the top of the second toe. You're going to lean forwards, put some weight on here. We often call this one the thinking man for obvious reasons. So you've got some resistance on here, and we're lifting up high here and lowering back down. Notice that I'm keeping my toes nice and long and connected to the ground and evenly spread. And the toe spaces, the flamingo feet, really help me with that. Without it, I tend to claw a little bit, and that's something we want to avoid. And what I'm focusing on is keeping my knee over my ankle, directly over my second toe. When that's done well, we're getting balance through the inverters that we were working earlier. We get balance through the everters as well, and we control the foot and arch really well. So this is a seated calf raise. You want to do 20, 30, even up to 40 or 50 repetitions of this, build up the endurance of the soleus muscle, but keeping in mind you are working all your other muscles in your feet and the outside of your ankle as well. Great, so that's seated calf raises. Okay, next we're going to go into standing calf raises. This is much harder. Build up to this only when you're ready. And the sauna is a fantastic place to do this because, of course, you bare feet. So that's another good reason to do this sauna session together. Okay, standing up, I'm going to put my foot up on the top bench here to support myself. This makes it a little easier. Once again, we want the ankle over the second toe, and we're going to raise up with all my body weight now on this, slightly supported at the front here. You might notice also I'm leaning forwards. If you're wondering why I'm doing that, the further forwards we lean, the more we use our arch muscles. So not only can we work our calf muscles in this position, we're now also working our small toe flexors, of which, if you want to do that, we know that weak toe flexors is associated with increased falls risk. We know that toe flexors are associated with longevity, how long we're going to live. So why not work your calf muscle and the short toe flexors at the same time by working in this position. I'm doing my best to keep my toes long, and you'll find that you'll fatigue at some point with this. It might be quite early. You might only be able to do 10, 15. That's okay. Our target for these is 30. And I'm getting a little tired now, so we'll rest up on that right about now. So there you have it. That is roughly a 5, maybe a 6 minute strength routine for all the muscles around the arches and the feet, and even up into the calf muscles as well. What I'd suggest for you at home is, if you're not too sore tomorrow when you wake up, cycle that through, of course, on both sides. I'd go through that cycle twice or even 3 times right through. That is a fantastic routine that you can incorporate into your daily life, or at least a couple of times a week. If you'd like more sauna sessions like this, then don't forget to like, and if you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel, because we can do more exercises in the sauna if you'd like, or other foot and helpful things there. So I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.